The day my trust became my downfall. The envelope felt heavy in my hands, not from the paper, but from the weight of the words inside. I sat at the kitchen table I'd owned for 30 years, the morning light streaming in just as it always had. But as I read the lawyer's letter, the familiar world around me, the chipped sugar bowl, the photograph of my late husband, seemed to tilt on its axis. I had trusted my only daughter with my entire life's work, my fortune, my security. And in that quiet, sunlit moment, I realized I had made the gravest mistake of my life. My name is Eleanor. For 40 years, I built a small, successful boutique with my husband, Arthur. It wasn't just a business. It was our third child, our shared dream. When Arthur passed, the grief was a physical presence in our home. My daughter, Chloe, was my rock. She was sharp, ambitious, and had a head for numbers that I never did. She worked in finance, and I was so proud of her. After a minor health scare, Chloe sat me down. "Mom," she said, her voice full of loving concern, "you shouldn't be worrying about managing all this. The investments, the property, the taxes, let me handle it for you. I can make your money work harder. Ensure you're comfortable forever." It made perfect sense. Why wouldn't I trust my own daughter? I signed over power of attorney. I consolidated my accounts into a joint one for easier management. I felt a wave of relief. It was one less burden to carry alone. I saw it as a final act of parenting, of passing the torch to the most capable person I knew. I never imagined it was a torch she would use to burn my world down. The first sign was subtle. I wanted to withdraw a larger amount than usual to donate to the local library, a cause Arthur always loved. I called Chloe to let her know. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. "Mom, that's not a prudent use of capital right now," she said, her tone suddenly that of a stern accountant, not a daughter. "The market is volatile. We need to keep everything liquid." I was taken aback. It was my money, but she spoke with such authority, I felt foolish for questioning her. I let it go, a small, cold seed of doubt taking root in my stomach. That small seed grew into a thorny vine that began to choke my life. My monthly allowance, which had always been more than enough, suddenly felt tight. When I asked about it, Chloe cited inflation and necessary reinvestment. I started noticing small charges on my bank statement, a luxury hotel, a high-end furniture store that I knew nothing about. When I asked, she sighed. "Mom, those are for the new apartment. I had to move for a better opportunity. It's an investment in our future." Our future? The words felt possessive. The loneliness was the worst part. Our conversations, once filled with gossip and laughter, became transactional. They were about statements, deadlines, and financial updates I could barely understand. I began eating meals alone, staring at the empty chair where Arthur used to sit, feeling the walls of my own home closing in. I felt like a guest in my own life, my freedom slowly being siphoned away by monthly statements and condescending explanations. I was being cornered, not with shouting, but with spreadsheets and silence. The truth finally came from an old friend. My dear friend Beatrice called me, her voice hesitant. "Eleanor, this is probably nothing, but my nephew is a real estate agent. He said he saw your property portfolio listed as being managed by a new holding company, a company called Croft Holdings." My blood ran cold. That was Chloe's boyfriend's surname. I logged into the county clerk's website, my hands trembling. With some difficulty, I found the records. The deeds to my 2 rental properties, my safety net, had been transferred. They were now owned by Croft Holdings LLC. She hadn't just been managing my money, she had been transferring my assets. The power dynamic didn't just shift, it shattered. I was no longer just a trusting mother, I was a victim of a calculated plan. I didn't scream. I didn't even cry. A terrifying, steely calm settled over me. This was no longer a family misunderstanding. It was financial warfare. I went to my attic and found the business card of Arthur's old lawyer, a man he had trusted implicitly. I scheduled a meeting and laid everything out: the documents, the transfers, the bank statements. Next, with his guidance, I began the quiet, painstaking process of reclaiming my life. I opened a new, private bank account. I gathered every paper, every statement, every deed I could find. I filed paperwork to revoke the power of attorney. Every step was quiet, lawful, and deliberate. The heartbroken mother was gone. In her place was the woman who had built a business from the ground up, and she was fighting for her survival. I invited Chloe over for dinner, something we hadn't done in months. She arrived, looking successful and slightly impatient. "What's this about, Mom? I have a conference call at 8. I waited until we were seated. Then I slid a single sheet of paper across the table. It was the confirmation of the revoked power of attorney. "It's over, Chloe. I know about Croft Holdings. I know about the properties." Her face went through a rapid series of emotions: shock, fear, and finally a chilling defiance. "I was protecting you," she insisted, her voice rising. "You're too old to handle this. You would have wasted it all." I looked at this stranger, my daughter, and felt a profound sadness. "You were not protecting me. You were stealing from me. And the worst part is, you don't even see the difference." The confrontation wasn't loud, but the silence that followed her stunned realization was deafening. The legal battles are ongoing, but my spirit is at peace. I have my accounts back. The properties are frozen in litigation. Chloe and I do not speak. The pain of her betrayal is a constant, low hum in the background of my life. A real-life story of family drama I never wanted to be in. But I have my freedom back. I have my home. I learned a devastating lesson that changed me forever. When you give someone unconditional trust, make sure they have conditional access to your life. If this emotional story touched you, please share your own thoughts in the comments below. Your support helps more people find these calm, real-life stories. Subscribe for more reflections on family, love, and the difficult lessons we learn.